Refresh.
Just kidding. I like Looney.
Work.
There it goes. Exited host mode.
Yeah. No longer hosting. Hello. Hi.
Okay, we live. Hello, friends. Chat. Welcome. Okay, we're gonna take a second. We're gonna let some people see these notifications. But before we start, how do you guys like the graphics? How do we look? We're not in
looks good.
We're not in Normandy anymore. Well, actually, we might be. There's some guys behind us that are kind of blurry, but we
definitely are.
We've
Yeah,
upgraded.
Absolutely.
We've upgraded. Is my point. Just take a second, soak it all in. We got some. I took your guys' criticisms to heart. We got some bigger cams going on, so you can see our sexy faces. I just hope you guys appreciate what we did. Joe's prestiged infantry division. Can you see that shit?
I have. What is that, like 2? At least, dude. At least.
At least 2.
All right. You ready for this? It's 8 p.m., Tyler.
The font looks a little cheapish, but everything else is nice. Shit. Well, I tried.
It's all right.
I thought it was like kind of like army looking, you know? I just want.
That's what as soon as it's like typewriter-ish.
Yeah, that's what I was going for,
like,
isn't it? See, hey, chat, at least Joe has my back. At least.
No, I got it. I like it, actually.
I thought it was pretty
like,
cool.
If you were sending me a message, like, that's how I would expect it in World War II.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe Morse code. Maybe we should learn that next time.
Yeah, my bad, chat. I tried. Okay. So, here's the deal. We have the rest of the 2K going on for the rest of the night. The players are probably going to be streaming it at 6 p.m., which is an hour from now, or 9 p.m., wherever you're at. We're going to try and get through this show a little bit faster this time around, but we have some juicy topics. Joe, what are we speaking about?
So I think first things first, let's talk about APAC and EU's 2K. They obviously finished up. We'll talk about sort of pro point standings, how things are looking for Dallas, NA, the NA 2K so far, what's happened. Then we're going to get to really game types. I think this is something you really wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, discussing Hardpoint, Search and Destroy, CTF, or Gridiron. There's a lot of opinions there. And then before the end of the show, we will touch on Optic and Envy, Luminosity versus TK. The semifinals for tonight, those will be in an hour, like we said. So this is going to be a bit of a shorter show.
Yeah.
But we're going to try and get it in before those start so everybody can go and watch those if they're streaming.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to host up whatever team is streaming the 2K matches a little bit later on. Before we get into the meatier topics, just want to start off with saying I know it's an unfortunate circumstance with the whole MLG thing. I know you guys are probably going to be asking a lot of questions about my situation. I'm basically searching for any sort of option right now. Still trying to be involved with Call of Duty whatsoever. Still going to be streaming a lot. Still going to be doing this show with Joe. Still hanging out with all our friends. So, not going to touch on it too much. Just want to lay that out there. We're moving on.
All right, so let's get into it. APAC, Mind Freak wins again. No surprise here at all. They win the 2K. They are I think I saw a statement where, like, the only way they don't get to Dallas pool play, that one spot, is if, like, they don't play or they lose first round or don't earn pro points. That's not going to happen. They're just light years ahead. And I'll say, Teep, because I had to get up Sunday morning, do some extra work. And I tuned into the 2K. Someone was streaming it. It was the finals. And let me tell you, that the people who play against Mind Freak are, like, scared out of their mind. And I think that just has to deal with it. Like, obviously last week, I think it was Excite's team. He was a part of that Mind Freak team. He wants to beat them. They didn't play. They went to map 5 the first week. But this week, there was no competition at all. It just seemed like the other team just knew they were going to lose. And that, to me, is really sort of the attitude in APAC. It just seems like there's Mind Freak, there's everybody else. That's it.
For years. For so long, game to game, you think there'd be like somewhat more competition, some players that are be up and coming of age that break in and really start making some noise in that region. It's just not there. And this is a topic I would love to cover more, but they just win every time, all the time, for years and years and years. Yep, what is there? What is there to say? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's weird, right? Because they're getting 100+ teams. There's a lot of people who are signing up. Every single year, Call of Duty gets more traction as an esport, and you would just think that talent would emerge. Like, even in Black Ops 1 when we were playing, or MW2, like, Black Ops 1 events had like between 50 and 80 teams. Like, it wasn't a
Right.
lot. It wasn't a big thing, but talent still came from that, and people got better. Like, yes, like teams like Optic and Leverage and Envy, they would always be in that top eight,
Yeah.
but somebody would break through, and you're just not seeing that. I think literally last year was the first time we saw that with Excite. We thought he was a
Yeah.
darn good pickup. You saw Dens be on Tainted Minds. The only time Mind Freak lost was when Dens, who's on their team now, had to go absolutely berserk, and they still ended up losing that final.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's just crazy to me that nothing else has emerged from that region yet.
Crazy stuff. And I want to see like at least one or two more players from that region really step up to that next level. Like
Yep.
Excite's the perfect example there, where he finally like solidified himself as one of the top talents in the region. Just a few more of those is needed, I feel like, to get some better competition at that top level.
Yeah, so that's it for APAC. I mean, nothing much changed there. There's still some top teams who are in the race, but again, Mind Freak's the clear cut number one. Nobody's really touching them right now. So we're gonna move on to Europe. Last night, Europe's 2K ended. Red Reserve ends up beating Splice, and they actually take the pro point lead. So our top five seeds so far, you have Red Reserve at number one, Splice at number two, and it's only like 45 or 35 point difference.
Yeah,
It's a super
crazy.
close race for that number one seed. Scraps team, Epsilon, those are really the top four that we've expected so far. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure that's been the semifinals, both 2Ks.
Yeah.
And then you have that fifth spot. That fifth spot is really the team that's up for grabs. So you have 5 spots for pool play at Dallas for Europe, and that fifth one, any team can take it. We have a French team, we have 2 Spanish teams. You still have some of the old UK teams we expect to be in that mix, but besides that, the top 4 that we expected, they're still the top 4 in Europe.
Yep.
Splice and Red Reserve, they're the clear and cut number 1 and 2. So yeah, it just seems that those guys, they're a step ahead.
Yeah, some better competition, definitely, compared to the APAC region. Very surprising that Red Reserve able to take that final last night. I feel like it's going to be a nice rivalry throughout the year with these two teams going at it head-to-head on boots to the ground. So super excited to see how those teams progress. Seems like Scraps' team with Moose and Shawnee, I believe, as well, are doing quite well. It's good to see them being consistent, as there was some definitely up and down with those types of players last year. So seem to be consistent.
Yeah, and again, so far right now in Europe, I mean, you have the top 4: Red Reserve, Splice, Scraps, Epsilon. If they, I mean, I think Splice and Red Reserve are pretty much in for pool play. The other two, as long as they don't have a horrible weekend, like absolutely atrocious, they should have a pool play spot. The fifth one, that's the one everybody's going to be watching out for. It's going to be tough because next week it is the last 2K for pool play. So next week, that is what everybody's going to be looking out for. Everybody's going to be getting those pro points. But I got to ask, Teep, do you think another team besides a UK team is finally going to get into that 5th spot?
Ooh. I mean, now's probably the best time than
Right.
ever, especially, with sort of just how connection works overall. You never know who's going to get some of the better hosts on certain maps in those series. And I hate to bring online into it, but 2K, there's a strategy to it, right? When you're going up against a certain team, do you want 2 hosts? Do you want 3 hosts? Do you want a certain map in Search and Destroy where you can try and use that to your advantage? It's a definite strategy, albeit it could be more competitive at times. But it wouldn't be surprising if one of those teams, make it in there for the 5th spot.
Yeah, I'm hoping one of the Spanish teams do. I'm a huge fan of the movie Star Riders and Giants Gaming. Obviously, they're making big waves. They've attended some lands in the past, but this next 2K is going to be pivotal again. Just getting that pool play spot, you guarantee yourself sort of a place, in one of the best teams in the world. But I think that's about does it for the Europe. I mean, pretty basic stuff. The teams that we expect to do well, they're continuing to do well. There is some surprises like Renegades. They're not performing as quite as well. And then, the international teams, France, Spain, they're in the mix of things, what we really didn't see last year. But, they're here to play.
For sure. Going to be very
exciting. So then we go over to big old North America.
Oh, yeah.
And this is where things obviously get juicy. I believe, do you have a pro point list you want to show everyone?
Do. Pop that up on the screen right there. Bang. So we see how the top 13 right here, and then we have some other teams that we can show off after this. But these are the pro points that have been added besides the 4 matches, or the matches that are going to be going on, the 4 teams that haven't played yet, the semis and the finals tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I believe these are updated. I found these from Reddit, so hopefully they're accurate enough. They should be. Basically, you can see there, Envy's points, yes, it shows them pretty low at 3680, but again, they're guaranteed a certain amount of points from making the semis. So,
yeah, I mean, obviously, and then in your top 3, you have Optic, Luminosity, TK. TK again getting in the semifinal. I think super surprising to everybody, including myself. We talked about them a little bit last week. I mean, we weren't sure if they were going to continue to do it, but we talked theory. This is sort of his last chance, really, to me, and he's showing up big time. Obviously, you have Chino and Kenny, who have a ton of star potential, accuracy. I feel like this is, sort of his better game. I think his play style fits boots on the ground, sort of, better than advanced movement. And I think it's really shown off. It's very impressive to see.
For sure. And just speaking on some of these teams, the fact that, we're coming down to those bubble teams, and it was very exciting to watch the last year to see who's going to be able to get enough pro points to qualify for Pro League. Going to be crazy to see who qualifies for the pool play for Dallas this time around. When you see some of these teams on this list that are below that 10th spot, you got EG, you got Team Royalty. That team is pretty underrated in my opinion. They seem to be pretty solid and should be with all the talent on that team. And then E United at that 13th spot as well. Just can't seem to close out any maps. Man, it's tough to watch some of these matches. Online COD can be tough at times, but seems like time and time again, United just can't seem to clutch up at the last second there.
Yeah, and there's a few teams who aren't on this list, but we'll get there. So right now, you have E6 who's in. They're, again, continuing to play extremely consistent. Ghost, they lost last night, but they got a top 8 finish. That's what they wanted. Team Parasite, they drop Embos. They pick up Study. Study is they're both pretty aggressive SMGs, but that was the big thing to me was how would Study sort of fit into this team.
Right.
But he is playing an SMG role because that's what Embos does. And they continue to prove themselves once again, Ferocities and Blastful. I mean, again, Haggy puts together a very good placing, a top 8 finish. I mean, these guys are right in the running. These guys should end up being in pool play. I mean, they just keep getting better and better. Then you have Rise. They had a very close game 5 with Optic that I heard about. Let's see. Team Rocket. I don't think we talked about this team at all last week. I mean, maybe we briefly touched on it. But that team, it's Twiz, TCM. Trying to think. Someone help me out. Do you know?
I don't remember the other players on the roster. Chat is going to help us out.
I'm going to check.
I believe in the chat.
I feel like an idiot. Let's see.
It's like that one name on the list where it's like, oh shoot, what is that roster again? Because
but anyways, this team, I mean,
it's Nelson.
They get there. They're here again, and they put themselves in a position that they want to be. Oh, Dimmy and Nelson. So there we go. They put themselves in a position that they want to be. These guys currently have a pool play spot, but we shall see. Because Envy's obviously going to get bumped up. TK's going to get bumped up, and then sort of the outside is where it gets scary. That 10th spot. Next week's going to be intense, man. That 2K is going to be crazy. A lot of teams are going to give it their all. Practice this week's going to be insane because you have Team Nagafin right there. Nagafin, Methods, BL Fire. Those guys are very, very good, and they keep putting their pieces together. And then you have EG, you have E United. A team that's not even on this list is Echo Fox. They're not even in the picture right now. FaZe, another team. This list is actually pretty crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm bringing up some of the other noted teams that are lower on the pro point scale right now. You can see right there how low they actually are on the pro point scale. FaZe at 3560, Era 3490, Echo Fox 3290. It's just you wouldn't really expect some of these teams to be so damn low on the list. FaZe just having huge issues. I haven't really got enough film time with watching FaZe to see exactly what the problem is, but back-to-back top 32s, that's a mess. I feel like you aren't even getting to some of the top competition at this point.
Right.
In the 2K, and they're still having trouble get through them. Whether it be, excuses or not, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but it's not good.
Well, here's the thing, right? They obviously didn't play last week, and that's just sort of where it hurts you. You have IW Pro Points, you sort of have a solid seed, and then you don't play well, and now you have to play Envy in the round of 32. They end up losing them 3-0, and that's just where the sort of issues, they just connect to one another. I mean, Is their year over? No, their year's not over. They can play well in the next 2K. If they do have to go through the open bracket, they have enough talent to do it easily. This is the thing. I understand that the open bracket is scary, but a team like FaZe, a team like Echo Fox, they should be able to get it through it. I mean, there's just
For
too
sure.
much talent in this team. There should be no excuses to where they can earn, again, up to 25,000 pro points at Dallas
Yeah.
and at New Orleans, to where if they are in a tough position for Pro League, there's no reason to me that these teams shouldn't be able to make it through that open bracket and get it to pool play.
You got plenty of chances. You hit the nail on the head there. Like, if you go to one of these events and you aren't getting enough pro points along with all the 2Ks in that, it's like, well, obviously something's going wrong. We talked a little bit about this before we started the show on FaZe and how AR heavy the game is right now. And talking about this lineup, it's like, do you have traditionally strong ARs on this team? Looking at some of these other rosters, probably not, right? So I guess it's not too surprising that they're struggling, and I feel like it is a team that will be able to bounce back and really get it figured out, but time's running out. Open bracket's going to be a gauntlet.
Yeah, I agree with Jack. I think FaZe needs a dominant AR. I think they should pick Jack up. I think he's what they need. But yeah, so I mean, we can run through some of the big storylines in North America's 2K. Again, number one to me, FaZe loses again. Obviously, they lose to Envy in a 3-0 fashion. But it is a big storyline. It's, again, we were talking about it. You wanted this roster move to pull through, and it hasn't. Like, Reap's one of the old guys like us. When he wasn't playing, he was playing with us. We're retired old men.
Right.
But we wanted him to come back and play well. And I did like the Priest to pick up. I think it's just similar to what you said. I think Attach, Priest, Azuma, they to me just have too much talent. But that AR role, I mean, you said it. It's easy to run an AR. That's what all these people say.
Yeah.
But it's just different. It's different when you have that play style, the sort of things you like to do. Because those three guys, they like to play aggressive. If this was an SMG-based game, this could be a completely different storyline for them.
Oh, for sure. And just seeing how respawns are played in this game in specific, it's like it's so important to buy time, to play your life, and play much, much slower, value your life a lot more. And speaking about most of the players on that team, it's like, do they really do that a lot? Not, it's tough to talk about it, going from jetpacks to this game, and I'm sure they're figuring it out. But traditionally, their fast players might not be paying off so well.
Yeah. So that was obviously a huge deal as FaZe gets top 32. E United, they lose a very close game 5 to Luminosity. I'm not sure if you watched that series, but they were up like 4-0.
Sure did. Heartbreaking loss.
I know they had some connection issues. There was like 2 of them on hotspots, whatever it was. But the fact of the matter is that loss, or if they win that map, they're probably in a very good position, to sort of solidify them. Well, not solidify themselves in a pool play spot, but they're in that picture. Now the pressure's on to where they will have to sort of get that top 4 finish in the next 2K.
And speaking on that series in specific, LG with some crazy composure on that USS Texas to come back and win. Slack was making some crazy plays in that bottom middle, but speaking on United, it's like I feel like the excuses make some sense, but like on that last map, for example, you go up 4-0, your hotspot was working fine, wasn't it? What happened? What happened? Like you did, like they aren't finding ways to close out maps, and that's a common issue on a lot of series that we've seen from these guys. Even talking about some of the other tournaments that I watched from them, throughout the weekend, we had the Memorial Tournament, we had the 3K Prime Tournament where we got to see some better respawn as well. It's just like it's a common issue. Hotspots or not, well, they aren't closing it out.
Yeah, definitely agree there. So E United, obviously they have a very big weekend up for them. Parasite, we touched briefly on this, but Hagi's team, they pick up Study. They decide not to play with Embos. I have no idea what ended up happening. But Embos is no longer on that team. They pick up Study, and they get T8 again. The sort of risk paying off where I don't even know if it was a risk. It was almost like this was Parasite's last chance, right?
Yeah.
Like he almost had nowhere else to go. I mean, I'm sure he had a few other options. I think he did with like Methods and Nagafin, but he decides to take Ferocities and Blastful. And last week they get top 8. This week they get top 8. Again, they put up some impressive series. But if you watch that match versus Luminosity, there was some big-time chokes in Search and Destroy. Obviously, Cat being a 1v4 and a 1v2.
Right.
And that's where it sort of scares me. I feel like the position they're in right now, like this 7 through 10 range, I don't know if they can go any further than that
Hmm.
because of sort of the experience levels that they have. And I mean, obviously the talent's there, but if they can put it all together, it's just going to be very tough for them to sort of escalate themselves into the top four.
Definitely, and I've been focusing on that team quite a lot throughout the 2Ks because Parasite is one of the people that is streaming it. So
Hmm.
their road to make it to the top eight, specifically in this 2K, was very, very. It was a tough run. They had to reverse sweep a team. I forget who it was, but it was a very solid lineup overall. So it's not like they're just cruising to top eight and then getting stomped out by top competition. They're you know really grinding through some of these earlier rounds. When you have to pull off a reverse sweep, it takes a lot of energy out of you in these long days. So I feel like
Yep.
they can only ride that wave for so long, unfortunately. But solid team, man. I feel like that roster change is still somewhat new, so maybe they're still getting used to how Steady plays. Respawn, search and destroy, things like that.
Hmm.
Haggy has been looking good. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that team that I think they reversed it was Amity. That was Remy, Diabolic, Happy,
Yeah,
and Mosh.
that's the
I
one.
remember watching that. That's that was a very big win for them. That gets them into the quarterfinals. They end up losing though, I believe, or to Luminosity 3-0. Um, yeah. So next up, TK man, they continue to play well,
Ah,
and I
beast.
mean really well. They're in the semifinals right now. They will play Luminosity. They 3-0 Ghosts in the corners finals. They beat Echo Fox 3-2. They beat Canada New York, which is like Proto and Royalties team, 3-2. But top four back-to-back weeks. I didn't expect this to happen from this roster.
I kind of love it, man. I kind of love
Yeah,
it.
I do as
I was
well.
waiting to
Yep.
see which team, sort of randomly thrown together team was going to be able to do well early in this game, and we found it. We definitely found it. Really happy
Mhm.
for them overall. It seems like Chino's been an underrated player for quite a while now. For the past couple of years, hasn't really found himself on some of these top rosters, but finally getting some good results. Happy for him.
Mhm.
And back-to-back fourth places. That's looking good, looking really good for Dallas.
Yeah, and again, this is one of those teams we haven't been able to watch very much. Obviously, they don't stream very often, but they're obviously doing it in clutch ways too. They're winning game fives, and I feel like that's so important in early 2Ks and early tournaments. Like those search and destroys, they change so much. I mean, that's your momentum for the year, and we'll see at Dallas. I have a feeling Dallas, like whoever's winning search and destroy that weekend, because we're still so early on in the game where
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of respawn mistakes. I mean, you know it just as well as I do. That search and destroy, that's going to be the key difference maker, and they're obviously putting that game type together very well.
for sure. That's a great point to bring up too. Like
Hmm.
even going back to last year, yeah, it was IW, completely different circumstances, but you saw the teams that made it far in that tournament.
Yep.
Search and destroy, very heavy. Cloud9, I think, had
Yeah.
almost all game fives and made it to the grand final. Like crazy stuff
Which you
overall.
never would never see. Yeah.
Never, never, never. So you're completely right on that point where search and destroy early on, super, super important.
Yeah, and then Rise ended up winning that tournament, who always had a great search and destroy game type. But moving on, Rise lose game five to Optic in a very close quarterfinals. But again, Rise is in the mix. They ended up, sort of they beat Rockets, which again we touched on them, a very surprising team that went to game five. They beat Era. And then yeah, we weren't able to see it, but I heard the series was very close. Sort of what we heard from the players. And this Rise team, this is just sort of what happens when you sort of get that eighth seed. You
Yeah,
have to play Optic,
right.
but they were very close to beating them. So yeah, very impressive stuff from them. They put themselves in a very good position.
Yeah, the 2K seeds can be really brutal sometimes. Like
Hmm.
your quality of matches could be dramatically different than someone on the other side of the bracket. Just kind of the way things work sometimes. But the fact that they were able to fight them so close, who knows? You might be able to beat them next time you play them, especially in an online environment. It's good that they are taking a team like Optic to the map number 5, and I'm expecting a lot of big things from Rise this year.
Yeah, I mean, Looney just put in the chat. Both Hardpoints were under 15 points.
Yeah.
They lose CTF 1-0.
That's tough.
So if they lost, that game five search is sort of the difference maker there. I mean, but that's great. That's what you want to see from these guys. Again, they have TJ Halley. He just turned 18. He's back on the team, and you still have that core roster, with Looney, with Aqua, with Felony. But again, challenging Optic. We haven't really seen anybody do it. So a great showing from Rise. Up next, we have Envy, the other team in the semifinal, and they didn't have a great week last week, and we
Right.
sort of thought that this was going to happen, right? Hook obviously transitioning. It was going to take him a minute to sort of get back into the swing of things, but they have a lot better tournament this week. They 3-0 FaZe, they 3-0 Hellfire. I have no idea who that is, and I apologize.
Yeah, me neither.
Then they 3-1 EG, and they make their way to a semifinal. So obviously a very big win for Envy.
Yeah, I definitely put these guys, this roster on Envy at a top 4 at this point. We're just waiting to see when that spark was going to happen. So good to see them in the semifinal. Granted, they have to play against Optic right away, so we're going to see how good they actually are. If they can sneak a win off of Optic, especially online, I think that'll be very, very impressive.
And I saw a Hook and Temp. They were both in the Envy. I don't know if they're still in Charlotte or if they're in Dallas yet, but those guys are already together. They're putting in the work, and that's what you want to see, right? Both those guys, they just turned 18, and those are the two, at the Envy complex, putting in the work that they needed. Like they are so excited to be able to compete this year that they're putting in that extra work. And then you have Classic and Slasher, who last year were very the past couple of years have been such successful players.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for them to put it together, because we talked about this. As soon as this roster formed, I thought this is an Optic competitor right away. Unfortunately, last week they didn't have the best performance. But if Hook can play at that level, Temp, you know how good he can be. Slasher, when he is playing at that level that he can hit, it's not all the time, but he hard carries teams to two finals. Like we've seen him single-handedly beat a team like Optic in a series. And then you have Classic, who sort of does it all. He's sort of the one thing for me. I want to see how well he's doing. This is obviously a team we don't get to see much, but if they can put it together, this team is going to be very scary to beat all year long.
Yeah, for sure. And then speaking on EG just a little bit, it's a tough matchup overall. You expect this one to be a good one and be able to take them out 3-1. From what I've seen from EG, from the little bit I did see, when they do stream, is they seem just really hot or cold, to be honest. No other way to put it. When they're on point, they just seem to roll over teams, and then when things are going bad, they just seem to start playing a lot slower, which is not surprising with the main 3 AR-ish sort of players on that team. So I feel like, just from looking at the lineup, I haven't seen enough to really make this a solidified call, but it's probably pacing issues. Apathy being really fast, the other 3 being slow. That's what my guess would be.
Here's the issue with me. A slow start for EG scares the hell out of me to the year, just because of all the different personalities on this team. I mean, we talked about this last week. I just think, again, you had Enable with FaZe last year. He wanted to be the leader. There was all those issues.
Yeah.
Pat, that's the way he likes to play. It's his way or basically no way. And again, we've heard Enable say, like, I don't want to have to deal with that. Like, he has specifically said he was never going to team with Pat again. He's teaming with Pat again.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Nameless, who, again, at times can speak up and has his own opinion. I just feel like when things are going to go wrong, it's going to be even worse for these guys, because they all just have such strong opinions. And even Apathy at sometimes, like, Apathy has, a way in his head that he wants to play.
Yeah.
And I dealt with that. I know Envy dealt with that. And sometimes it's hard to sort of just break that into him at times. And that just creates so many issues.
Completely agree with you. It just kind of like screaming pacing issue, whether it's Apathy needing to slow down. I'm not sure. Like I said, I haven't really seen enough of them, if they are like running 4 ARs or if Apathy's running a sub full time on respawns. I don't know. I don't really know enough, but that's just pure speculation on what this roster is doing right now.
And that's what we do. We speculate because, again, none of these guys really stream. We're just guessing based off our experience.
Yeah, right. All we can really do.
So that's basically it for the NA 2K so far. That was really the big things. We covered most of the quarterfinals matchups, some of the roads that these teams had, and then at the end of the thing, or the end of our show, we will cover the semifinals matches. So we're going to move on now to the next topic, and we're going to talk about the different game types. Obviously, the game just came out a few weeks ago. You and I have put a good amount of time in, especially in Search and Destroy.
Yeah.
So let's kick things off, Teeb. Let's start off with Hardpoint.
Yeah, for sure. And chat, feel free to spit out your opinions, too, on how all these game types are playing. On Hardpoint, I think Docks is a amazing map to play. Feels like the rotations are pretty darn balanced. You have to make sure you're locking down that back anchor, especially like second Hardpoint, for example. Love the rotation on Docks. Gibraltar, not a fan. That second Hardpoint is brutal. that third hard point almost as brutal. Like it's
Yeah.
so hard to break anchor on both of those. In my opinion, from just seeing, it's like, man, how do you, four wipe a pro team twice to get spawn? It's hard. Like you have to hit these crazy sort of timings. The chokes are so small. It's tough.
Yeah, and the thing I want to talk about Gibraltar. The thing is, right? It reminds me of just a larger slums and the fact that like the hard points, if you rotate early, you're going to get majority of the time. That's how Black Ops 2 slums were.
Right.
It was very hard to sort of break a hill, especially those two where you had garage and junkyard. Like if you rotated early to that and held it down, it was very difficult to break. The thing was though, is that the hills were perpendicular with the spawn, right? They were right next to each other. If you got in the hill in slums, there was a good chance you were going to at least force a split spawn at times, right? Like the team that had spawns, if you allowed that team to get into the hill, there was a good chance you would spawn out.
Yeah.
With Gibraltar, the hills are pushed up from the spawns. This to a distance to where if you're contesting the hill and getting a few kills, the team that's still spawning will still have those spawns. It's just so difficult to break.
Yeah.
In those hills, they just have so many different like power positions. Like you have that back blue building, you have that turret building, to where it is very difficult to break. I think teams will get better at just like learning to contest and using smokes and tacticals.
That's what I was going to say.
But we'll have to see that sort of develop. But it will be a lot of when you rotate from 2 to 3, sort of everybody staying alive in the middle of the map when you're going to break that hill and just winning key gunfights. Maybe somebody sneaking around the cave. I'm sure teams will get better and better at it. But yes, right now it is absolutely it's very tough to break those hills, and I think that's sort of the issues with the map.
For sure. And like you said, I feel like as soon as teams figure out, more effective smokes, what lines of sights they want to take to block off with those smokes, the routes that they take with submachine guns, for example, I feel like teams will get better at it as time goes on. And just to add to your point, I think you made a good reference to like slums, for example. The biggest thing too is mountain is such a huge part of this game right now. And a huge way that you would break on slums, for example, in Black Ops 2 was a score streak of some sort. When you drop a bomb in this game or call your fighter pilot half the time, you don't even see them on the map, or you can just very easily hide inside with one of those crevices in the turret building, things like that, for on like third hard point, for example. So just really, really tough to break overall. I'm a huge advocate of having to rotate, but like it's almost impossible to break.
Insane. And I see Jackley. I would actually set my controller down if I saw a guy spawn back there. I mean, you remember like those sneak spawns you would get back laundry?
Yeah.
The thing though with slums though is if a guy spawned in that sort of power position, you had pretty good position within the hill to win a gunfight.
To fight him, right.
Like the Gibraltar hills, they're such in wide open positions. And for 2 and 3, there's no cover for you in many different places. I think that's just the sort of the big problems right now. I'm sure teams will get better at it. But yeah, then we have Arden Forest. Let me know what you think about Forest Hardpoint.
I'm actually a huge fan of it, to be honest. Granted, this is my stance, purely a pretty crazy opinion. Balancing issues are always a tough thing to do, but like Arden Forest is where nades are an issue. And that's where I kind of have this argument. It's like, well, should Armored/Hunker block, kill you on the third nade instead of the second? That's like the one map where I might argue that a little bit more, because nades are just so damn crazy on that map, and you have no really way to counter that or defend yourself against it. But the way that the map rotates around, I like where the hard points are positioned. I like the way you have to rotate around the map. I think the Ruins hard point makes a lot of sense too. It's very easy to set up somewhat spawn traps on that map. So I like it, but the nades can make it a little bit crap at times.
Well, that's just the thing, right? I mean, the maps for the most part they're small. I mean, I think this is the smallest map set we've ever had in competitive Call of Duty. I don't think there's anything. Excuse my voice crack there, but to me the big thing is every single hill has a lot of scoring potential, except for Hill 4. I just feel like the hill right in the middle of the street. It's just it's tough, right? Like I almost want that one to be, well, it can't be number 1, but it just seems out of place a bit.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like if you swap that hard point and like put it maybe at like the back bridge, or maybe on the other side, like by back bunker. I don't know. I'm trying to just theory craft on the fly right there, but that hard point definitely just does seem out of place for, the rotations on that map.
Yeah, but I love the other 3. I like number 1. You can get an amount of points. Obviously, Ruins, if you set up correctly, there's a lot of great positions there. And then if you lose out on ruins, well, you can rotate to bunker, and obviously bunker is the middle hill. If you can get teams spawning out towards that back bridge or ruins, you force them in those small chokes. I'm sure we'll have a lot of exciting maps on that. And then lastly, we have St. Marie Du Mont Hardpoint.
I love it. I'm a huge fan of it. A huge fan. The way
Yeah.
you can take your wide route to rotate. You can really take your time. Running around using routes with a sub on that map is a lot of fun in my opinion, just from like my own experience playing Hardpoints. Granted, I haven't like scrimmed or anything at the top level, so sound whoring and all that type of stuff comes into it too. But I like the rotations on that map. I think score streaks are quite strong. You have to utilize them at the right time, like on the A bomb Hardpoint, for example, over towards like Green Tower. Save your streaks for that one. Huge fan of it overall. There's just so many elements to it, right? Certain hills you can bring out FMJ and have it be really, you can switch up your class a lot and have an advantage on certain hard points. I think that makes for a good map.
Yeah, I agree. I just think the rotations, they make sense. I think the map size is like perfect for Hardpoint, and the fact that it feels like, we always have Black Ops 2 as the sort of standard for Hardpoint. Funny as it is, that was the first year of Hardpoint.
Yeah.
But that map just feels like a standoff, or it with those rotations or a raid. The hills move you around the map, and you have to make those sort of split-second decisions and get those cutoffs to where those spawns and those hills. Again, I've seen a lot of comebacks on that map, man. Like teams just learn how to sort of break those hills or use their grenades and their streaks the right way. I think that and Forest are going to be, and Docks, you're going to have a lot of different ones. But overall, I'm a huge fan of the Hardpoint maps. I think, again, Gibraltar, I think, needs some changes.
Yeah.
But that's really it.
For sure. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Hardpoint overall. And I guess we can move on to the next game types now. You want to cover CTF?
Yeah, let's do search. We'll keep CTF and Gridiron for sort of the last two.
That's probably a good call because I know Hardpoint and S&D the best right now, just from my own perspective.
Agreed.
So
S&D, I have a lot of interesting things just from my own experience.
Yeah, I'm sure you both do.
So we'll start with Forest. To be honest, I suck at Forest. We're playing with me.
Right.
It feels like the maps are so condensed at time that those break off nades or having to choose between like basically airborne energetic to try to make a rush, like the game is like a map like Forest. It relies on sort of the first 10 to 20 seconds in your decision making.
Yep.
And which nades you decide to throw or stuns, what rushes you decide to hit, that there's so much is sort of decided so quickly in the rounds.
For sure. And it's like sniping is quite strong on that map. That long lane on the B side of the map, you can snipe over and actually like basically spawn kill the guy at back A when he's trying to rotate over towards cabin. I think those will be abused a lot more as time goes on. I think Forest is going to turn into one of those maps where you're going to have to smoke your close crosses like coming off of spawn. And then speaking from like the fast sub perspective, I feel like that middle area outside of ruins is just so strong. And like you said, it's like a 50-50 timing, whether people are going to stack nades on you, and then it's like you're like, oh shoot, should I run airborne hunker? But it's like then they could coordinate nades. But it's like basically the map is going to largely revolve around who gets you control, because it's such a powerful spot on the map. You can gain so much information on middle and towards B. So it's like I hate that. Like it's cool that you have to coordinate nades. That takes a lot of teamwork to hit a nade at the same time. But it's like, when it all boils down to the first 10 and 20 seconds and you're kind of just hoping you catch your timing and don't get naded, it's like it can just lead to a rough map sometimes. It's tough. And
I think that we can touch about an overall strategy, because I think the strategies of S&D will change overall. Yes, Parasite, I see you have to coordinate nades. That's what I was going to sort of get to. Maps like Forest, maps like St. Marie Du Mont, sort of USS Texas, a lot of them I think will end up being is sort of retake situations where you're saving nades as a team. For example, I think Ruins, you'll probably give up a lot of times on defense and retake it with your grenades. You'll have different grenade spots because honestly, right now, from what I've watched, Forest is pretty 50-50. It seems like a lot of teams like to just try to stay away from that Ruins bomb site just because of how hectic it can be, to where that cabin bomb site, it's almost predictable. You know where a guy's going to be. He's going to be either, around that turret head glitch, or the fact that they're going to be sort of middle in that cabin alley. So we'll see how Forest plays out, but I think a lot of teams will end up developing their own strategies on it.
Yeah, for sure. I think it'll eventually play a lot better than what it is right now. But like you said, I feel like the main strategies, especially like at Dallas, for example, it's going to be a lot of retakes, a lot of just like trying to poke out. You don't get naded, waiting out the nades, and then coordinating a plan from then on. I think you're pretty spot on with that.
Yep. Gibraltar. This is a fun one. Gibraltar S&D.
FMJ baby.
FMJ nades again. I think another one where there's two switches, super fast, super slow, and we haven't seen much of the super slow just because the game hasn't developed to that point yet. Again, I think there will be a time to where either defense defense will get sort of that middle control. The offensive guys will just wait. They'll wait for the nades just to avoid that first blood, and then they'll coordinate nades together to work a top middle push. But right now, it is just airborne energetic, airborne hunker, go. I mean, that's a lot of what you see is just really playing that middle bomb site. Sometimes you see but it's very rare.
I think the one team that I've seen actually play offense one of the best is the team that won the young gods that won the Memorial Tournament. Basically, how they played Gibraltar is they were really good at getting that sub pressure up towards that middle of the map, and then they'd have specific smokes. It sounds simple, but it's one of the only teams that I feel like have done it effectively.
Yeah, I haven't seen that at all.
While hitting the timings at the right time. So you smoke out turret and that middle heady towards their stairs. So that gives your that sub player that lane up towards that top left middle steps. You can actually run down and get to the B bomb or just hop down towards the shed. I feel like that's going to be the main strategy on offense if you are going to try a B attempt. Other than that, just maybe try and overwhelming that bridge side. Try and find the one guy that's playing back there, overwhelm him, and then go in A. It's like
you had to work that pick. It's all it is. You find the guy either ladder room or down at A, or the guy top stairs just peeking. If you work that pick and you get it, it's almost, if you get the plant down, it's very hard to sort of lose that round unless you do something stupid.
Yeah.
As long as you're watching that flank, it's just hard. There's so many power positions, but getting A just requires sort of that first blood.
For sure. Just from playing Gibraltar much in like wagers and tournaments and things like that, not a big fan of it, to be honest. When you're having a good game on Gibraltar with a sub, it's a lot of fun. But there's also those games where people just get to those headies and they bob up and down and they shoot you through a wall, and it could be very, very frustrating.
Yeah, so obviously going up next for Search and Destroy, London Docks. I think London Docks is the best map in the game. I love it.
So good.
Yeah, I think London Docks just has the most freedom. Both bomb sites are viable from what we've seen so far. Again, a lot of these maps, I think just because of the sort of jetpacker mentality the past couple of years, rounds are just super fast. There will be times when people change it up, like on Forest and in Gibraltar. Teams will learn, they'll coordinate. But London Docks, it just feels like old boots on the ground COD to where you have to work up to a position. Is that position cleared out? All right, like there's different steps to those objectives.
And I feel like the way that, if you're running an airborne energetic, the way that those timings work really pay off for you a lot more than other maps, a lot more safely, because you can safely dodge nades. You can basically look up and see if a nade's coming at you. And I feel like those clean lanes, the way that they work out at middle, left, and right, are just so well thought out, and it's just so much fun to play because of that reason. And then I feel like sniping is going to be very, very, very strong on docks. Obviously, you can watch, from ladder all the way over towards the A cross. You can see the entire A cross. So it's going to be a lot of smoking that out to make sure you can actually make it into A. You can probably snipe over towards that B side, towards their coal, towards underground. I just can't wait to see what these pro teams like pull out of the hat in terms of strats on this map. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things about it is that like mid-map control isn't sort of necessary, if that makes sense, for an offensive team. Like if you can sort of work the street or sort of work that lower docks bomb site, that middle map sort of statuary, you can just sort of avoid. You can work your base. You can, sort of just watch your flank from where you spawn up. And that just, I think, relieves a lot of pressure for the offensive team to where these other maps, like it's almost needed. Like you need a person in each position.
Right. I just
yeah, Teep loves London Docks. That's all you need to know.
Just love it, dude.
All right, St. Marie Du Mont. I think this is the map I've played the most. I played this so many times. Same. I have no idea why it appears so much as it does, but it does. Obviously, A and B bomb site. B bomb site, if you've watched a stream or if you've played an S&D tournament, You know which bomb site I'm talking about, the inner one. Nade timings, airborne rushes. That seems to sort of just be the play right now.
Definitely. And I feel like as time goes on, especially in a big tournament scenario, it's going to be a lot more A play because I guess it's quote unquote safer. It's kind of funny to say because it's like A is the more open bomb site. You can get shot at from middle sandbags, top window, their side, get flanked from your own side, things like that. But I feel like you're going to have to really have good strats on both sides of the map on offense to really spread the defense thin so they can't just stack 3 people over to that B bomb site and just wait for nades and things like that. This is going to be a really fun map to watch. It might be one-dimensional at times. It's going to be quite clear of which team is playing the map better, in my opinion, when we get to events and who has the most confidence, like who's just going to be airborne hunkering into B over and over again, counting nades. It's just simple things that if you do get into that bomb site, you can make it easy on yourself, but it's on the defensive side, a lot of retakes going to be coming in.
Yeah, I think for me, this plays out very similar to Forest, to where that ruins bomb site's just fast. If you're going to hit it, you're going to hit it. Same with St. Marie Du Mont.
Yeah.
You can avoid that middle building. You can watch it from the bomb site. Obviously, that statue has so many powerful positions. You have the bomb in there as well. If you're going to hit it, you're going to hit it. But I agree. I think defensive teams, they'll learn to coordinate nade spots. They'll be able to somehow get middle building control and check the bomb from up top. As soon as they see that, they'll throw nades. I think that'll sort of be figured out. Even in retake situations, like there's going to be a guy behind bomb, a guy behind the statue. You'll learn to coordinate nades. You'll get that first blood, and that'll open up the site. But right now, it's just very sort of head-on or work the flank. I agree with you. I think A will be utilized more and more as sort of the game develops. And then lastly, the last S&D map, we got to sort of pick it up a little bit.
Yeah.
15 minutes until the 2K semifinals. Right. So USS Texas. Wasn't too sure about this map coming into the game, but I actually enjoy playing USS Texas. I think there is a sort of different feel to it. It's very narrow. There's 3 lanes to work, but I feel like that sort of underground to where you can go up to both teams' windows allows a lot more freedom and a lot more sort of different strategies.
I totally hopped on the hate bandwagon on this map. I was like, this map sucks. These lines of sights are horrible. Sniping's way too strong. Wasn't a fan at all. And then I played it like a billion times. I was like, and then you start to realize the amount of depth of strategy you can have and the routes you take on this map. You can airborne energetic up to your window. You can airborne energetic up to their window. Underground is very, very important if you can double hit it and get control of that. It gives you that line sight over towards B. There's so many different lines of sights. You can, if you have a strong sniper, it's obviously really good towards A. You can sit back and play slow and watch crosses. It's a very, very in-depth map. And each time I watch these pro teams play it, I swear I learned something.
Yeah, I agree.
It's fun. It's grown on me a lot. It's one of my favorite maps now for Search.
Yeah, I think the biggest flaw to me is just sort of how far away you can see bomb sites. I mean, the map isn't huge. If you plan an A or a B, I mean, the defensive team will know where you're setting up, but it just takes time to get to that position, win that fight, and then get to the bomb. I mean, if you allow them to plan A, they can see it from spawn. If you allow them to plan at B, they obviously have that upper platform, and they can go to your spawn or their spawn. So we'll see how sort of teams defend those bomb sites. Again, another map where I just think coordinating nades is going to be so important. That's sort of the name of the game right now, and we'll see how teams develop.
The bomb sites sort of play like, it kind of reminds me of Warhawk, just being a sub player, except with a way more dynamic middle map, if that makes sense. Because you have like the top windows, you have bottom mid and things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But like Warhawk, for example, you could see the cross basically anywhere. You just sit back in your spawn, you call cross, you try and nade it out. And that's when smokes are becoming more and more into play. Smokes are going to be so damn important in this game for baiting out nades, for just so many different things, blocking the obvious crosses from the lanes that you can watch with snipers, a bunch of stuff like that. I think it's going to be a fun map to watch at events.
Yeah, and I don't know if people know in the chat, but in World War II, thermals didn't exist. So that's why, smokes are super important. But just a history lesson here on Hardpoints. You can get them every week.
Thanks, sir.
All right,
Appreciate
sort of
that.
the bigger discussion. CTF and Gridiron, sort of coming into it. We weren't too sure what game number 3 was going to be. CTF, we'll start with CTF, I guess. How do you feel about CTF, Tyler?
The spawns are tough, bro. The spawns are really tough. I feel like the reason CTF has worked so well throughout the years is you get punished for dying. When you go for dead, you have that sunken feeling in your stomach. You're like, crap, I'm going to lose a flag right now, and that blows. The way it is right now, you go for dead, you basically spawn up on your flag, and you play defense again. It's just
Yep.
it doesn't feel rewarding when you're playing it or watching it, and it's like, oh, this team got 4 dead. Usually you're like, yes, a flag's gonna happen. And in this game, a 4 dead happens, and you're like, oh, they spawn up on point, and the play's dead. Okay, cool, let's move on.
Yep.
Sucks.
Yeah, so obviously you have Forest CTF. I think this is one that a lot of players enjoy, but again, it just sort of has those sort of back spawns similar to like Stronghold, to where you're just spawning. There's like coverage to defend that base.
Yeah.
Obviously on bridge side, there's all those different positions, so I totally get it. Smokes, I feel, are going to be so critical to
So
CTF.
important, yeah.
Yep. Flak Tower. I love Flak Tower. I think it's going to create some crazy games, but it's sort of the same thing. I mean, as soon as you're pushing your enemy base, if they don't spawn there, well, they're probably going to spawn pushed up on the map.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to get that second wave of kills. Obviously, there's a lot of discussion around the 7.5 second respawn. We'll see where that goes, because that could change a lot of things that you were sort of talking about.
Right.
But yeah. London Docks CTF, again, I just think anything London Docks is one of the best
Fantastic.
in the game.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Saint Marie Du Mont. I've heard a lot of pros' opinions on this map. This is the one they don't like the most, because it's just very difficult to get some flag scores.
Yeah, I do not like playing it, bro. It's just hard. It's just really hard. Like it's one of those maps where it's like, it could just be 0-0, and it just goes to quad overtime, and no one's gonna get a damn flag. It's just really difficult.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? So, well, first of all, before we switch to Gridiron, the thing I love that they added to CTF was the extra time. I think it's an incredible sort of feature to where if you do get a flag out at the last second, there is that minute to sort of score it. I think that'll create I think it already has created a lot of just exciting moments. We'll see where that goes.
You know what I want to hear? It's like, why do I've heard a lot of people, like on Twitter, for example, say they don't like it, and I don't understand why.
I have no idea why.
Yeah, I'll like get responses like, oh, no, that new OT thing's not fun. Like, what?
That's how it should be.
Like, it's cool. It's exciting.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. That's just my thought.
Gridiron. And I see it in the chat now. I've seen it a lot of times. I've talked to a lot of different people, and they just, before we sort of get into the different maps, people just love Gridiron because it's more exciting. And to me, I sort of thought about, what does that mean? And I think the biggest thing is, Tyler, when you sort of watch CTF, not only do you have to get to the enemy base, you have to bring it back to your base. And that's where I think the issues sort of come in, to where Gridiron, it's like Blitz. I mean, I'm not saying the game types are similar, but you only have to go half the base. You only have to go halfway. You just have to take it to your enemy base. That creates more scores. That creates, more hype. I get it. I totally get that watching as a spectator. But that's sort of where it drives from. It's just the fact of the matter is you only have to take it so far, whereas CTF, you had to go twice as far. And I just think that's the big thing to me, is people want to see more and more scores as much as they can. I was watching Splice. They almost got 100 points in a game. It was absolutely insane. But yeah, let me know how you feel about Gridiron.
I like some games I'll watch it. I'm a huge fan of it, but just like, I'm so biased towards CTF.
Agree. I am too.
When you get a good CTF game, I feel like the whole goal of this and the mindset for a competitive game is to make it as competitive as possible. And I feel like a good CTF where you get punished for dying, you have to make that decision off spawn, whether they're OE or wrap back. It's like, those decisions are a lot of the time so difficult to make, and therefore lead to a better game type. Gridiron, it's like, okay, the ball's over here. You rotate with your team. It's straightforward. You four group up, and you try and force the ball in for a 3-pointer, right? So it's like,
I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what the point I was trying to make is, it was just like Blitz. Like, we as players hated playing Blitz and Yost. But when I was sitting in the stands watching Blitz, that shit was great. I mean, it was exciting. You just got to the portal, you scored, and it reset. But it's sort of that similar discussion of, man, it is super tough. So obviously Gridiron, you have Flak Tower, London Docks, Saint Marie Du Mont. The one that stands out to me is Docks. I've played that quite a few times. Yeah. It's a lot of fun to play. Flak Tower plays very similar to sort of CTF. Yeah. But that's the thing with Gridiron. I'm not sure if it has the amount of maps that sort of CTF can have.
Right.
That's just like, I just don't know if people just love playing Gridiron on London Docks and Flak Tower that much more than any other CTF map, or what it is.
Yeah, for sure. I think basically here's my point. If CTF gets the required tweaks, whether it be spawns or respawn time or switch, flag locations moving a little bit, things like that, I think the potential of CTF for this game is way higher than Gridiron. And I'm just going to leave it there. I think the potential of it's better. As it stands, though, CTF on like Forest, for example, it's tough to watch. It really is.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's it for game type discussions. Last part of the show, we're going to discuss the sort of semifinals that are coming up in about 6 minutes. So we'll try to finish it so you guys can all go watch your teams. I think some players are streaming, but I guess Tyler and I will find out.
Yeah.
But first semifinal, Optic and Envy. Optic obviously win last week with in pretty comfortable fashion. Envy, again, last week they didn't have the best finish, but I feel like they're getting better and better. Who do you think is taking this one, Tyler?
Oh, man.
Is anyone beating Optic this week?
No.
Okay.
They just shouldn't lose. There's no way.
Yeah.
And the only reason I think they might lose is like one of them just isn't feeling on today. They're tired from the last night. They're making excuses. They're being all whiny. They didn't get a scrim beforehand, and they just get caught off guard. If they're at full strength, they should not lose. Simple.
Yep. I agree.
It's a boring answer, but damn, they're good.
I just think that Envy's going to give them a run. I don't know why. I just have I think what you said, maybe just tired from yesterday, whatever it is. I just have a feeling like this is going to go game 5, especially with the TK, or not TK, with Rise almost beating Optic last night. I think this is going to go the distance, but I think Optic will clutch up.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not surprised at all if it goes to a last map. It seems like it's pretty normal for a last map to happen so far. So.
TK and Optic just scrimmed. All right, there you go. That's beautiful to hear. So that excuse is erased. On the other side, Luminosity and TK. Luminosity should have lost to E United. They clutched up. They beat Parasite and crew pretty handily. But again, we've talked about this roster. This roster, to me, just feels right. It feels like it has all the parts it needs. If Slacked and John play well, the SMG side, you already know what you're going to get from Octane. The biggest X factor is Cap. In the respawns I watched, doesn't always put up the biggest number. Like Octane was like, listen, Cap, I'll get your respawns. You just get my searches. And that's what it was. Last night, Cap was playing extremely well on search.
John's a beast from what I've watched. Yep. I've watched his team probably the most out of all teams because they, number one, stay alive in the tournament long enough. And number two, multiple of them are streaming. So I get to see multiple POVs, which is so important. I feel like John's just been running a great sub for them. It seems like a lot of the times they are running that 2-sub setup with him and Slacked running around and just causing.
Love that. We love that.
I love it. I love the momentum that they play at. And I feel like a lot of teams can't replicate it. They don't have the two SMGs running around the map. And I feel like it works out so well for them because both of them can run it at that, really elite level.
Yep. And then TK, we touched on them different parts of the show. So obviously don't want to, sort of touch on the roster as much, but they're here again. Do they have what it takes to beat LG in 5 games? The big thing to me that I'm questioning, it just has to be the respawns.
For sure. I mean, every TK team since the beginning of time is usually pretty damn good at search.
Yep.
Can they win respawns? So it's like, I'm giving LG the edge 100%. I think we should have an OG-LG final again. It's really what should happen, but I'm always down for a surprise. It's fun.
All right, so you're going OG LG?
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you.
Are you?
I'll take the other route. I'm going to go Envy Luminosity in the finals.
Ooh.
And I think Envy wins this 2K.
Ooh.
You like that? I'm going to switch it up.
I like that.
Now, to be honest with you, I 100% think Optic's going to win. But for the point of the show,
you got to make it
I'm
interesting.
I'm going to take Envy to win this. I don't know if I consider them beating Luminosity as an upset yet because I haven't seen both those teams sort of play. Like I'm just not too sure. I think them beating Optic is 100% an upset. Yeah. But if it is like an Envy Luminosity final, I think I don't consider it an upset because we know the talent that Envy has.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a good point. And, it's easy to say, like, recency bias is there as well. OG-LG was the final last week, so you kind of expect that to happen again. I hope there's an upset. I haven't seen TK enough. I haven't been able to watch enough of their gameplay to have, enough insight. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
I wish these teams would stream more, to be honest. But I completely understand why they aren't.
Am I okay? Yes, I am perfectly okay. I'm doing it for the show, guys. All
Oh,
right.
look,
Sometimes you just got to take the other stance.
I
I'm a
love it,
little
Joe.
Skip Bayless.
I love. Oh, look at we have perfect timing, Joe. Look
Yeah.
at this.
Perfect
We're
timing.
pretty much done. We did it. Chat.
So, yeah. I
I
mean,
love you all.
you want to do a quick because these games probably won't start directly at
Yeah,
9.
true.
Let's do a few minute Q&A like we always do to end the show. But yeah, this was the whole point, was to get this show under this time so we could go watch the end of the 2K. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and post them in the chat for Tyler and I. We'll try to get to them. We'll just answer a few. But again, we're cutting this one, I wouldn't say short because I think this is a good time. But yeah, we're cutting a bit shorter than last time. Thoughts on the FG meta? Great question.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like the FG. I get people's concerns. I just like that it sort of has like an anchor weapon to where the bar is still pretty. You can be still very aggressive with the bar, but I feel like the FG up close, like sometimes it can get some pretty lucky like 3-bullet hipfire kills. But I like that it has a bit of a difference than the bar.
Yeah, for sure. I like it, to be honest. I feel like the bar was getting a little bit boring. FG brings that different style where you can just post up a little bit further away. The range of it's so damn good. So I think everything's balanced,
Yeah.
as well as possible right now.
The one thing I have with the FG is obviously the 3-bullet kill is like infinite range. I actually don't quote me on that, but maybe that could be tweaked a little bit. But I
Right.
feel like it has adequate recoil. I think the fire rate's slow enough. We'll see. I just think there's some positions on the map that are super powerful that teams don't know how to deal with. So we'll see how they sort of adapt to that. All right, here we go. Biggest dark horse team for the next 2K that has a chance of winning it. Go ahead, Tyler.
Ooh. Biggest dark horse. Rise.
Okay, I like that. That's a good pick.
Rise my
that
dark
was one
horse
of my
pick.
picks.
What you got,
I
Joe?
I think I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go E United.
Okay.
Again, the series that I don't know if it's a huge. Well, it kind of is a dark horse because they haven't been playing as well as we thought. But I think they're just a few rounds away from clutching up and winning and moving on. And it's like champs for me all over again. Like if they get to the finals, like I think the finals is going to be absolutely insane.
Yeah.
But they lost just before that. So we'll see. I hope they get top 4. I think this is a team that can get better and better, but it just feels like something's off with them right now.
Breakout player for World War II. I feel like one of these S&D stars, man, one of them's got to be good, right? Like for the long term, like actually like breaks into variant, stays good throughout the whole year, and solidifies himself. I don't know who. That's the tough one. I feel like one of these S&D stars like has to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, Pharaoh is a pretty good choice. I'm
Yeah.
going to go with Kenny from TK.
Yeah.
They're obviously doing something right. Back-to-back top 4s. I don't know much about Kenny. I've watched him in AW when he was very solid. Obviously, he was underage. He just turned 18. He's my go-to dark horse this season. I mean, again, TK has 2 top 4 finishes. It's due to something, so I'm going to go with Kenny. All right, guys, one more. Let's see. Let us find one.
One more question.
Do.
Ooh, I kind of like VS chances the flinch nerf
Yeah.
because that's been.
Yeah, let's see.
Ooh, do I think it will be out before Dallas? I don't know. That's like a total coin flip. But how will it affect the game? You'll have a lot more freedom, so you aren't like forced to run primed a lot of the time. Because the flinch right now, it just really leads, especially running a sub. That's what I do most of the time. It's like, man, it's just so frustrating when you're taken out of the gunfight before you're really in it. So I feel like it'll balance the game a lot more. Gunfights are going to be a lot more consistent. Teams with the better gun skill in gunfights will probably win them more often, which will help with the online consistency. So I can't wait for it.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of players are going to run, airborne hunker. They'll be able to play a little bit faster than others. Or if you're a submachine gun player, I think it helps subs more than anything. ARs, the only difference is going to be is they're going to throw on infantry. They're going to have stock, right? Like I don't think there's much change to that. Maybe we'll see some cool bayonet plays. But yeah, I mean, ARs if they're nerfing it to like I have no idea the details around it, but you'll see a lot of just infantry hunker on ARs. If you're only using 2 attachments, maybe you see something else, but we'll see how that sort of develops. I really don't see ARs using anything else other than infantry like hunker and in respawn. Maybe you still use primed. That'll be the big thing.
Yeah.
Do players still use prime? Do they think it still has a big enough effect to where it's worth it? But again, I think for search and destroy and SMG players, that is critical to the game to keep it sort of moving in the right direction.
Great answer, Joe. You're good at this.
All right. I think that's it.
That's
904.
All right, chat. Pick a person to host out of one of the people on LG because they're streaming. Go.
Okay.
With the most names I see, I'm going to host them. We appreciate you guys hanging out. Hardpoints episode 2. We're going to keep these episodes rolling out for you guys. Check it out for our YouTube channels tomorrow. It will be up on there. Appreciate those of you that are able to catch it live. Looks like a lot of JCap. People like the Kaplan. All right, Kaplan's winning.
Let's go to Kaplan.
We're going to Kaplan for sure. But thank you so much for watching, guys. Hit that follow button if you enjoyed your stay in the channel. ! Sub if you want to support a little bit more. Follow me and Joe on Twitter. You can see it on the graphic right here at Tyler Teep and at Joe DeLuca. Go follow his stream as well at twitch.tv/Merc. Use our scuff codes as well. Those are cool. Scuff controllers are great.
Like that.
Use Merc.
We like that, baby.
He's a great guy.
Use Teeps. He's better. All right. We're out of here.
Later, guys. Enjoy JCap's stream. Enjoy the 2K. Peace out.